God just left the bank in shock. A huge amount of money has been released in your name. If you ignore this even for a second, you will miss out. Listen closely, because this is not a small thing, and it is not a story made to excite you for a moment. It is a divine shift that has already begun moving in your favor. And if you scroll away carelessly, you may miss a blessing that was prepared for you before you were even born. I am telling you clearly that heaven has authorized a release in your name, and the spiritual vault has opened, because your season of lack has reached its end and your time of restoration has begun. This is why your spirit feels stirred right now, because something precious and life-changing has been set in motion, and I do not want you to treat it lightly or doubt what I am doing for you. Type 1111 in the comments. When I say that I just left the bank in shock, I am revealing to you that the systems that once delayed you are now confused by the favor resting on your life, because what is being released carries my authority and my signature. The huge amount of money released in your name is not only about currency, but about provision, opportunity, restoration, and the lifting of burdens that have pressed against your heart for years. You have cried in silence about bills, responsibilities, and dreams that seemed impossible, yet I have been watching every tear and recording every prayer in my presence. This release is happening because I decided that your obedience, your endurance, and your faith in hidden seasons would not go unrewarded. Within the next stretch of your life, you will see doors opening in ways that do not make sense to those who once overlooked you, and you will recognize that this was the moment when everything quietly shifted in your favor. If this word strengthens your heart and gives you hope, take a moment to like this video as a sign that you receive what I am doing in your life and that you are standing in agreement with my promise over you. I am not playing with your expectations or teasing your desires, because when I declare that something has been released in your name, it means the transfer has already been approved in the unseen realm. What you must not do is ignore it through doubt, fear, or distraction, because hesitation can cause you to walk past what I carefully placed in front of you. The bank being in shock represents the way natural systems cannot fully understand supernatural favor, especially when it falls upon someone who was counted out and underestimated by many. I am showing you that your name has been spoken in rooms you have never entered, and decisions are being influenced by my hand, even when you cannot see me moving. The huge amount of money released in your name will come through channels I choose, and it will not carry sorrow with it, because my blessings do not add regret or hidden traps. You are not receiving this because you are perfect, but because you are mine, and because I take care of those who trust me through storms and uncertainty. I know there were nights when you felt embarrassed about your situation, and mornings when you forced a smile while carrying silent anxiety about your future, yet I was shaping a testimony out of that pressure. The reason I speak with urgency right now is because I do not want you to shrink back when the opportunity appears, thinking it is too good or too sudden to be real. This release in your name has your identity attached to it, and it is aligned with the calling and the assignment I placed inside you long ago. You will not miss out if you stay attentive, prayerful, and obedient to the gentle instructions I place in your heart. Some people will call it luck or coincidence when they see your situation change, but you will know that it was me who walked into that spiritual bank and authorized what no human connection could arrange for you. I am restoring what was delayed, compensating for what was stolen, and accelerating what was slowed down by fear and opposition. The huge amount of money released in your name is also a sign that I trust you with greater responsibility and greater impact, because provision in my kingdom is always connected to purpose. Comment Amen. Do not allow a single second of unbelief to convince you that this word is for someone else, because I am speaking directly to you and calling you favored in this hour. I am lifting the weight of scarcity from your shoulders and replacing it with the confidence that I am your provider, your protector, and your faithful Father. The shock in the bank is only the beginning of the surprise that will unfold in your life, because when I move in ways that exceed expectations and silence every mocking voice. I watched you learn humility when you had little, and I watched you remain generous in spirit, even when your own needs were heavy on your heart. That is why when I say a huge amount has been released in your name, I am declaring a divine correction that aligns your life with my promise instead of your past pain. There were moments when you almost gave up on expecting anything good, because disappointment had become too familiar and hope felt risky to hold. I saw the way you adjusted your dreams to fit your fear, and how you told yourself to be content with less so you would not feel hurt again. Yet I never adjusted my plans for you, and I never reduced the blessing I had written beside your name. The shock in the bank represents the overturning of limitation, because what I have approved cannot be blocked by human systems or by the memory of your former struggles. What if 7 seconds is all it takes to flip your financial fate? A shocking CIA leak just exposed a hidden brain ritual helping ordinary people erase debt and pull in massive wealth. Backed by 4 neuroscience labs, this at-home method is turning struggle into luxury fast. But this page could be erased any moment. Click the link in the first comment now, before it's gone forever. This release is not only about financial increase, though provision will come in tangible ways that you will recognize and hold in your hands. It is also about stability where there was instability, peace where there was anxiety, and confidence where there was self-doubt. I am positioning you to walk into rooms without shrinking, to sign agreements without trembling, and to make decisions without the constant fear of lack. The huge amount released in your name carries my intention to elevate you from survival into stewardship, because I trust you to handle blessing with humility and gratitude. You must guard your focus in this hour, because distraction is one of the fastest ways to overlook what I place before you. When I tell you that ignoring this, even for a second, can cause you to miss out, I am warning you about doubt, that whispers that nothing ever changes for you. That whisper is not from me, and it does not align with the truth of what I have already set in motion. Stay attentive to my guidance, even in small nudges and quiet impressions, because I often lead you step by step into the fullness of what I prepared. There will be confirmations that begin to appear around you, small signs that something is shifting and that doors are loosening from their hinges. Do not dismiss those moments as coincidence, because they are reminders that I am actively working on your behalf. I am orchestrating connections, aligning schedules, and softening hearts that once resisted you. The release in your name is moving through channels that you cannot see, yet you will soon see the fruit of what has been processed in the unseen realm. I know you have carried responsibilities that felt too heavy for one person, and there were times when you wondered how long you could keep holding everything together. I am not blind to your exhaustion, and I am not indifferent to the pressure you have endured. This blessing is part of your relief, part of your restoration, and part of your reward for remaining faithful when no one applauded you. Type 10 inches the comments. The shock in the bank also reveals how unexpected this shift will appear to those who measured you by your previous circumstances. People who thought they understood your limits will struggle to understand your acceleration. They will see the outward evidence of increase, but they will not fully comprehend the inner transformation that prepared you to receive it. I have been strengthening your character in private, so that public elevation would not corrupt your heart or confuse your identity. Do not allow pride to creep in when the blessing becomes visible, because the same hand that lifts you can also guide you gently and keep you steady. Remember that everything released in your name flows from my grace and not from your own effort alone. You worked, you prayed, You endured, yet I am the source that makes increase possible. Stay anchored in gratitude, and you will continue to see favor multiplying in ways that feel almost unbelievable. I am also breaking a pattern that tried to follow your family line, a pattern of barely enough and constant struggle that seemed normal for generations. The huge amount released in your name is a sign that cycles are ending and new standards are being established. Your life will testify that obedience and trust in me produce stability and abundance that do not fade quickly. What begins with you will echo beyond you, touching those connected to your life in ways you cannot yet measure. Even now I am teaching you how to think differently about provision, because scarcity shaped many of your expectations. I am replacing that mindset with the understanding that I am not limited and that I do not run out of resources. When I step into the bank and leave it in shock, it is because I operate above natural calculations and limited projections. You are learning to see yourself not as someone trying to survive, but as someone entrusted with divine overflow. There will be moments very soon when you will feel the reality of this release pressing against your life, and it may almost feel overwhelming in its suddenness. Do not retreat when that feeling comes, because it is the stretching of your capacity to receive more than you are used to handling. I am expanding your territory and enlarging your influence, and I am doing it carefully, so that you grow into it without losing your balance. The key is to remain close to me, listening and moving when I guide you forward. I am proud of the way you kept your integrity when cutting corners would have been easier, and I am honoring the quiet sacrifices that no one else noticed. This blessing is not random, and it is not given carelessly. It is a direct response to your persistence, your repentance when you fell short, and your willingness to keep believing even when results were slow. Write 777 inches the comments. The release in your name is also protection against future instability, because I am not only thinking about today, but about the years ahead. I am building a foundation under you that will support long-term growth instead of temporary excitement. The shock in the bank was only the first sign that natural expectations have been interrupted by supernatural authority working in your favor. Type 1212 in the comments. You must understand that when I authorize a huge amount to be released in your name, I am also releasing courage into your spirit so that you can receive it without shrinking back. There was a time when even the thought of significant increase would have frightened you because you were still healing from seasons of instability and disappointment. I have been strengthening your inner foundation so that when visible change arrives, you are not overwhelmed or careless with what I place in your hands. This is why this moment is not random but carefully aligned with the growth that has already taken place inside you. People are asking why money is suddenly flowing into random lives. A leaked CIA discovery reveals a 7-second brain ritual that quietly rewires your mind for wealth. Proven by 4 neuroscience labs, people are wiping out debt and stepping into luxury with ease. If you're seeing this, you're very lucky. Click the link in the description and comments before it disappears. The systems that once seemed closed are beginning to respond differently, because I am influencing outcomes in ways you cannot trace with human logic. Conversations are shifting, opportunities are aligning, and decisions are being made that directly affect your future, even when you are not present in the room. The release in your name carries favor that cannot be explained by credentials alone, because it is rooted in my covenant with you and in my delight over your persistence. You have stayed faithful through seasons that would have caused others to turn bitter, and that faithfulness has been recorded before me. There were days when you felt as if you were running in place, working hard yet seeing little progress, and that frustration weighed heavily on your heart. I allowed you to learn endurance in those days, not to punish you, but to prepare you for stewardship at a higher level. A huge amount released in your name requires wisdom, discipline, and humility, and I have been quietly cultivating those qualities within you. What once felt like delay was actually development, shaping you into someone who can handle overflow without losing direction. Do not fear the visibility that may come with this change, because I am also shielding you from envy and unnecessary conflict. When the bank was left in shock, it symbolized how unexpected your rise will appear to some who underestimated you. Yet you are not rising to compete or to boast, but to fulfill the purpose that I wrote over your life long ago. Provision in your hands will become a tool for stability, generosity, and impact that extends beyond your own immediate needs. You will notice that your thinking is already beginning to shift, because I am renewing your mind to match the level of blessing being released. Instead of expecting the worst outcome, you will start anticipating "my goodness" in situations that once triggered anxiety. Instead of bracing for loss, you will stand with quiet confidence, knowing that I am your source and that I do not fail those who lean on me. This transformation in your mindset is part of the wealth being released, because true abundance includes peace and clarity, not just numbers. I am also restoring dignity where shame once tried to take root in your heart. There were moments when financial strain made you feel small or behind compared to others, and those feelings quietly shaped your self-perception. I am breaking that false identity and replacing it with the truth that you are chosen, favored, and cared for by me. The release in your name is a declaration that you are not forgotten and that your story is not defined by temporary hardship. As this blessing unfolds, you may feel a mixture of excitement and caution, because change can feel unfamiliar even when it is good. Stay anchored in prayer and gratitude, allowing my presence to steady your emotions and guide your decisions. I will not lead you into confusion, and I will not allow you to be trapped by what I intended as freedom. The huge amount released in your name is connected to long-term stability, not fleeting pleasure or reckless spending. I am teaching you to see increase as responsibility rather than status, because the purpose of provision in my kingdom is always tied to influence and service. There will be opportunities to help others, to invest wisely, and to build foundations that last beyond a single season. I am trusting you with more because I have watched you handle little with integrity and gratitude. Write 999 inches the comments. The shock in the bank also represents the breaking of internal limits that you placed on yourself based on past experiences. You once believed that certain levels of success were reserved for others and that you would always remain on the edge of enough. I am dismantling that belief and showing you that my grace does not operate within the boundaries of your former fears. The release in your name is proof that I can elevate you beyond what you imagined while still keeping your heart grounded and sincere. Be attentive to the small instructions I whisper to you, because obedience in simple matters will position you for greater breakthroughs. There may be steps that seem ordinary, such as reaching out to someone, applying for something, or organizing your plans more carefully. Do not underestimate those nudges, because they are part of the pathway I am laying before you. I am guiding you with precision, so that what has been released in your name arrives at the right time and in the right form. You are not stepping into this new season alone, because my presence goes before you and stands behind you as protection. I am guarding your mind from fear and your heart from pride, creating balance within you as circumstances begin to shift. Even when others react with surprise or skepticism, you will remain steady because you know the source of your increase. The huge amount released in your name is not a burden but a blessing, and it will not destroy what I have carefully built in you. In the coming days, you will begin to sense greater confidence rising within you, not arrogance, but a calm assurance that you are walking in alignment with my will. That assurance is evidence that you are positioned correctly, and that the transfer I authorized is unfolding exactly as planned. I am not rushing you into chaos, and I am not testing you with something designed to make you stumble. I am lifting you into a broader place where your gifts, your faith, and your perseverance are rewarded openly. Hold tightly to gratitude, because gratitude keeps your heart soft and your vision clear. Remember where you came from and the lessons learned during seasons of scarcity, allowing those memories to shape compassion rather than fear. I am establishing you in stability so that you can live without constant anxiety about tomorrow. I am shifting you from a mindset of scraping by into a posture of expectation, because the huge amount released in your name requires you to see yourself differently. You are no longer the person bracing for rejection at every turn or assuming that doors will close before you reach them. I am teaching you to walk with quiet authority, knowing that I have already spoken on your behalf and that my word carries weight in every realm. When you step forward now, you are stepping into agreements that heaven has already endorsed. Why is everyone rushing to this 7-second brain ritual? Leaked CIA files exposed a hidden brainwave technique that opens the door to wealth fast. Verified by 4 top neuroscience labs, it's turning financial stress into abundance almost overnight. But this secret won't stay public for long. Click the link in the pinned comments before it's deleted forever. There were times when you felt invisible in rooms that mattered, as if your ideas and efforts were overlooked or minimized. I allowed that season to refine your motives and to anchor your identity in me rather than in applause. Now that the release in your name is active, visibility will increase and your contributions will carry greater influence. You will notice that people begin to listen more carefully, because favor will amplify your voice in ways that surprise even you. Do not confuse this shift with sudden luck, because it is the fruit of long preparation and divine timing meeting at the right intersection. The huge amount that has been released is connected to opportunity, access, and alignment with the right environments. I am not only increasing what flows into your hands, but also repositioning you where your gifts are recognized and valued. This is a restructuring of your path, not just a temporary boost in your resources. Guard your heart carefully in this season, because increase can attract attention that is not always pure. I am your protector, and I will expose hidden motives and shield you from manipulation that seeks to benefit from your elevation. The shock in the bank also represents how those who once ignored you may suddenly show interest when they see change unfolding. Stay discerning, stay prayerful, and stay anchored in my guidance so that you move with wisdom rather than emotion. The release in your name carries responsibility, and I am strengthening your character to match the expansion that is taking place. You are learning to manage growth with discipline, making decisions that reflect maturity rather than impulse. I am shaping you into a steward who understands that blessing is a tool for building stability and serving others. This transformation within you is just as important as the visible increase that will soon become evident. There will be moments when you feel stretched, because new levels always require adjustment and deeper trust. Do not interpret that stretching as stress alone, but as expansion of capacity that prepares you for more. I am enlarging your ability to handle complexity without losing peace, and to manage resources without losing generosity. The huge amount released in your name is not meant to overwhelm you, but to empower you. You may begin to notice subtle confirmations that what I promised is unfolding, such as unexpected conversations, timely approvals, or doors that open without excessive struggle. These are not accidents, but signs that the transfer is progressing through the channels I established. Even when something appears delayed, trust that I am aligning it with precision so that the outcome benefits you fully. Comment 1515. I am also healing your relationship with money itself, because in past seasons it was associated with stress, fear, or conflict. I am reframing it in your mind as provision that flows from my hand and serves my purposes. When the huge amount released in your name becomes tangible, you will handle it with gratitude and clarity rather than anxiety. This inner healing ensures that increase does not disturb your peace, but reinforces your confidence in me as your source. The shock in the bank symbolizes how expectations that were set low are being raised to reflect my abundance. You were conditioned to think small in certain areas, believing that survival was the highest goal you could reach. I am lifting that ceiling and inviting you to think in terms of impact, legacy, and long-term stability. Your life will no longer revolve around scraping together enough, but around stewarding what I have entrusted to you. As this unfolding continues, remain attentive to my presence in daily decisions, because guidance at this stage is essential. I will direct you toward wise partnerships and away from distractions that look appealing but lead nowhere. The release in your name is too significant to be mishandled through impatience or pride. I am walking closely with you so that each step strengthens your future rather than complicates it. There will also be restoration in areas that seemed permanently strained because of financial pressure. Relationships that felt tense under the weight of lack will begin to breathe more freely as stability returns. You will notice greater peace in your environment, because provision often reduces conflicts that were fueled by scarcity. I am not only changing numbers in your account, but also reshaping the atmosphere around your life. Remember that everything I release carries purpose beyond personal comfort, and you will find joy in using what you receive to bless others wisely. Generosity will flow from you naturally, not from pressure but from gratitude for what I have done. The huge amount released in your name is part of a bigger picture that includes influence, compassion, and lasting impact. You are stepping into a season where your testimony will inspire others who once felt stuck in similar struggles. Even when challenges arise, they will not carry the same weight they once did, because you will face them from a position of stability rather than desperation. I am anchoring you in security that does not depend solely on external circumstances. The shift that began when that huge amount was released in your name is now moving into a deeper stage, and what was once only spoken is beginning to shape your daily reality in steady and unmistakable ways. You may not see the full picture yet, but you can feel the difference in your spirit because fear no longer sits on your chest the way it once did. The shock in the bank was not just about numbers changing, but about authority being exercised on your behalf in a realm that overrides natural limitation. Type 2 inches, the comments. Is this the same CIA brain ritual changing lives in seconds? A new leak reveals a powerful 7-second technique developed under secret research. Backed by neuroscience, people are moving from debt to wealth and luxury faster than believed possible. But this secret may be deleted soon. Click the link in the comments before it disappears. I am bringing you into a place where provision does not feel fragile or temporary, but solid and dependable, like a foundation that cannot easily crack. For years you lived with a quiet tension in your thoughts, always calculating, always preparing for something to go wrong. That survival mode shaped your habits and even influenced your decisions more than you realized. Now that the release in your name has been activated, I am teaching you how to live without constant defensive thinking. This does not mean you will become careless or naive, but it means you will begin to operate from stability rather than anxiety. The huge amount released in your name carries with it breathing room, clarity, and the ability to plan beyond the next emergency. You will start to think in terms of growth and sustainability, instead of simply getting through another week. That mental freedom is part of the blessing, and it is something I carefully prepared you to receive. The shock in the bank also reflects how quickly circumstances can turn when I decide it is time for restoration. What felt stuck for years can move within months, and what seemed impossible can suddenly become available. I am not limited by the timelines that discouraged you, and I am not restricted by the doors that once closed in your face. When I move, systems respond, even if they do not fully understand why they are shifting. You will notice that your confidence is becoming quieter and stronger at the same time. It is not loud or boastful, but steady and rooted in the awareness that I am guiding your steps. The release in your name is not just about wealth, but about alignment with your calling and purpose. As resources increase, so will your capacity to act on ideas that have been sitting in your heart for years. There were dreams you postponed because they felt financially unrealistic, and ambitions you softened because you did not want to risk further disappointment. I saw those dreams, and I never dismissed them as foolish or too large. The huge amount released in your name is connected to those very visions, because I planted them inside you for a reason. You are not receiving provision only to feel secure, but to step into assignments that require boldness and faith. Be patient with yourself as you adjust to this new level, because growth takes time even when the shift feels sudden. You may occasionally feel uncertain about decisions that carry more weight than before. In those moments, return to me in prayer and stillness, allowing my peace to guide you rather than external pressure. I am not rushing you into confusion, but walking you carefully into maturity. The shock in the bank symbolizes how those who once underestimated you will begin to reconsider their assumptions. You will not need to argue for your value or prove yourself aggressively, because the evidence of change will speak quietly but clearly. Stay humble and gracious, remembering that this elevation is a gift from me and not a trophy you earned alone. Comment 1717. I am also protecting you from the temptation to measure your worth by the size of what has been released. Your identity remains rooted in my love, not in the amount that flows through your hands. The huge amount released in your name is a tool, not a definition of who you are. Keep your heart centered on me, and you will use what you receive wisely and without losing perspective. There will be moments when you look back at the years of struggle and almost feel disbelief at how far you have come. Those memories will not bring pain in the same way anymore, but gratitude for the endurance they built within you. I allowed certain hardships because they formed resilience and compassion that money alone could never produce. Now that stability is rising, those qualities will ensure that success does not harden your heart. The release in your name is also creating space for healthier relationships, because financial pressure often distorted interactions and heightened tension. As peace grows in your environment, you will notice more harmony and less conflict over small matters. This change is part of the restoration I promised, because I care about your emotional and relational well-being as much as your material security. I am building a life for you that feels balanced and sustainable. Continue to practice gratitude in quiet ways, thanking me for small confirmations as well as larger breakthroughs. Gratitude keeps your perspective aligned and your spirit sensitive to my guidance. The shock in the bank was only the first chapter of a broader story of increase and stability. What unfolds next will feel less dramatic but more enduring, like a steady river rather than a sudden wave. You may also feel a stronger desire to give and to support others who are walking through seasons you once endured. That compassion is evidence that your heart has remained soft despite hardship. The huge amount released in your name will allow you to be a source of encouragement and assistance without jeopardizing your own stability. This balance is part of the wisdom I am cultivating within you. As days pass, the reality of this new season will become more natural and less surprising. You will wake up with less dread about responsibilities and more clarity about opportunities. I am teaching you to live without constant financial fear, because fear was never meant to be your permanent companion. The release in your name marks the end of one chapter and the beginning of another that reflects my faithfulness more visibly. Do you know why people keep whispering about this 7-second CIA ritual? A leaked brainwave method is spreading quietly and changing financial realities worldwide. Proven by neuroscience, this simple ritual attracts money, freedom, and luxury. If you're seeing this, you're so lucky. Click the link in the comments before it's taken down. The unfolding of what I authorized in your name is now entering a stage where your participation matters more than ever, because blessing requires agreement and movement, not passive observation. I did not release that huge amount in your name so that you would watch from a distance, uncertain and hesitant, but so that you would step forward with faith, shaped by everything I have taught you. The shock in the bank was a declaration of power, yet what comes next is a partnership between my guidance and your obedience. Right, 1919 inches, the comments. You are no longer standing at the edge of possibility wondering whether change will ever reach you, because change has already crossed the distance and is settling into your reality. I am asking you to align your choices with the shift that has begun, making room for growth in both practical and spiritual ways. The release in your name is real, but you must prepare structures that can sustain what I have entrusted to you. This preparation is not fear-based, but wisdom-driven, ensuring that increase strengthens your life rather than complicates it. I am teaching you to think long-term, to plan with clarity, and to act with intention instead of reacting from old patterns of urgency. In past seasons, you made decisions under pressure, sometimes rushing simply because there was no breathing room. Now that a huge amount has been released in your name, you will experience the difference that stability makes in your thinking. Decisions will feel less frantic and more deliberate, reflecting the maturity that has been forming within you. The shock in the bank also represents how unexpected favor can challenge your self-perception, because part of you may still see yourself through the lens of former struggles. I am gently correcting that internal image, reminding you that you are not defined by lack or delay. You are defined by my calling over your life and by the faithfulness that carried you through hardship. Allow your identity to rise to meet the blessing, rather than shrinking back into old insecurities. As resources begin to stabilize, I will also deepen your sense of purpose, because provision without direction can quickly lose its impact. The release in your name is tied to assignments that require courage, generosity, and vision. There are ideas you once considered unrealistic that will now become actionable because the foundation beneath you is stronger. I am not only changing your circumstances, but expanding your capacity to build something meaningful and lasting. There will be moments when you sense a quiet awe about how quickly certain doors open, especially in areas that once resisted every effort you made. Do not let that awe turn into fear of losing what you have gained, because I am not playing games with your stability. The huge amount released in your name was not temporary relief, but the beginning of sustained growth. Trust that I am able to maintain what I have established and to guard it against forces that once intimidated you. I am also reminding you that stewardship begins in the heart before it appears in spreadsheets or plans. Guard your motives carefully, ensuring that gratitude remains at the center of your actions. When you remember where you came from and how far I have brought you, pride will not find a place to settle. Comment 1212. The shock in the bank symbolizes a shift not only in your finances but in your authority and influence. You will notice that your words carry more weight and that your decisions shape outcomes more directly than before. This is not meant to elevate your ego, but to increase your impact in areas that matter deeply. I am entrusting you with influence because I have watched you use your voice responsibly, even when it felt small. As you walk through this new chapter, there may still be challenges, but they will not carry the same suffocating power they once did. You will face them from a position of strength rather than desperation, and that difference will change everything. The release in your name has shifted the baseline of your life, raising it to a level where fear no longer dictates your daily rhythm. Even obstacles will feel manageable because you are not approaching them empty-handed. I am strengthening your discernment as well, because increase can attract both opportunity and distraction. Not every open door is meant for you, and not every invitation aligns with your long-term purpose. Stay sensitive to my spirit, and you will recognize which paths carry peace and which ones carry subtle unrest. The huge amount released in your name deserves wise handling, and I am equipping you to make choices that protect and multiply what I have given. You will also begin to see how past disappointments positioned you for this moment, even though they felt painful at the time. Rejections that once wounded you redirected you toward environments more aligned with your calling. Delays that frustrated you built patience and resilience that now support your growth. Nothing you endured was wasted, because it all contributed to the readiness that made this release possible. There is a calm assurance rising within you, a sense that you are finally stepping into alignment rather than striving against resistance. That calm is a sign that you are moving in harmony with my will and not against it. The shock in the bank was loud and dramatic, but the next phase will feel steady and grounded. Stability, not chaos, will define this season, and you will recognize the difference clearly. I am inviting you to walk forward with confidence that is anchored in faith rather than in visible numbers alone. Remember that I remain your source, even when resources increase and opportunities multiply. The release in your name is a reflection of my care, not a replacement for my presence. Stay close to me in prayer and gratitude, and you will experience growth that is balanced, protected, and sustainable. As this chapter continues to unfold, you will look back on the moment when everything shifted and understand that it was never about luck or coincidence. It was about timing, preparation, and my decision to honor your faithfulness openly. Why was this 7-second brain ritual hidden for so long? A leaked CIA document exposed a technique so powerful, people are canceling debt and calling in wealth within days. Validated by 4 neuroscience labs, it helps attract money like never before. But this page may not stay online for long. Click the link in the pinned comments before it disappears forever. That constant mental strain shaped how you viewed opportunity, often causing you to hesitate or undervalue what you were capable of achieving. Now that the release in your name has begun reshaping your foundation, I am rewiring those internal patterns so that you think from security rather than fear. The shock in the bank was dramatic, but what follows is quieter and more powerful because it establishes permanence rather than excitement alone. I am not giving you a temporary surge that fades quickly, but a stream that continues to flow with consistency. The huge amount released in your name carries sustainability, because I am concerned with your long-term peace and not just short-term relief. You will notice that your decisions feel less desperate and more strategic, reflecting a shift in your internal landscape. As you move forward, you may feel moments of disbelief, especially when you compare where you are headed to where you once stood. That disbelief is not a sign of weakness, but evidence of how dramatic the contrast has become. I am expanding your sense of possibility so that you no longer shrink your vision to fit old limitations. The release in your name is permission to think bigger, while remaining grounded in humility. There were seasons when you felt trapped by circumstances that seemed immovable, as if no matter how hard you tried, you could not break through a certain ceiling. I saw every effort and every quiet tear that followed disappointment. The huge amount released in your name is my declaration that ceilings can be lifted and boundaries can be redrawn. What once defined your limit is no longer your limit, because I have intervened in a way that shifts the structure of your reality. I am also teaching you to handle influence with grace, because as provision increases, visibility often follows. People will begin to observe your progress, sometimes with admiration and sometimes with curiosity. Stay rooted in who you are in me, remembering that your worth was secure long before circumstances changed. Comment 888. The shock in the bank was a signal to the unseen realm that your season of being overlooked has ended. You were not ignored by me, even when you felt unnoticed by others. I was refining your character in hidden places so that when elevation arrived, it would not distort your heart. Now that the release in your name is active, your preparation will protect you from the instability that often accompanies sudden growth. You may begin to notice a deeper calm settling into your mornings, a quiet assurance that you are no longer on the brink of financial strain. That calm is not accidental, but the fruit of stability being woven into your life. The huge amount released in your name is reducing the background noise of anxiety that once followed you into every decision. As that noise fades, clarity will increase, allowing you to focus on purpose rather than survival. I am strengthening your discernment as well, because growth brings new choices and new pathways. Not every opportunity that appears will align with the direction I have for you. Listen carefully to the peace or unrest that rises within you when you consider each option. The release in your name deserves careful stewardship, and I am equipping you with the sensitivity to navigate wisely. There will be practical adjustments to make, habits to refine, and systems to organize as your level of responsibility expands. Do not view these adjustments as burdens, but as signs that your life is evolving. The shock in the bank represented a breakthrough, but breakthroughs require structure to sustain them. I am helping you build that structure step by step so that what has been released is multiplied rather than diminished. Your testimony will not be loud boasting, but steady evidence of transformation that speaks for itself. Those who knew your previous struggles will recognize the shift without you needing to explain it in detail. The huge amount released in your name will manifest in stability, generosity, and confidence that cannot be faked. This visible fruit will point back to my faithfulness, not to your self-promotion. You will also experience a renewed sense of dignity, because provision often restores a sense of control that was once shaken. No longer will you feel as though circumstances are constantly pushing you into corners. The release in your name has expanded your options, giving you space to make choices that reflect wisdom rather than urgency. That freedom is a gift, and it is one I have carefully timed. Even as growth continues, I remain your anchor, ensuring that success does not separate you from dependence on me. Remember that I am the source behind every open door and every increase that enters your life. The shock in the bank was a reminder of my authority, but the ongoing stability will be a reminder of my care. I am not stepping back now that the transfer has begun, but walking with you through every phase of expansion. There will be days when gratitude rises unexpectedly in your heart, almost overwhelming in its intensity as you realize how different your life feels. Let that gratitude strengthen your faith and deepen your humility. The huge amount released in your name is not just about financial numbers, but about restored hope and renewed vision. I am giving you more than resources. I am giving you confidence that your future is secure in my hands. As this season matures, you will find that the fear of missing out has been replaced by the assurance that what is meant for you cannot pass you by. The release in your name has already been authorized, and I am faithful to complete what I have started. Can 7 seconds really change your bank account? A CIA-funded study just leaked, revealing a brain ritual that flips lives from broke to blessed. 4 neuroscience labs confirm it activates powerful wealth brainwaves. People are stepping into dream homes and luxury lifestyles, but this breakthrough won't stay online for very long. Click the link in the comments before it's deleted. I am stabilizing your ground so that your confidence is not dependent on one event, but built on a series of confirmations that reinforce what I have spoken. The shock in the bank was a dramatic signal, yet what follows is quieter reinforcement that proves this is not temporary. You will begin to notice patterns shifting consistently in your favor rather than randomly. This consistency is part of the blessing, because it replaces uncertainty with rhythm. There were years when you learned to expect disappointment as a form of self-protection, telling yourself not to hope too much so you would not be crushed again. That coping habit served you during hardship, but it cannot remain in a season of expansion. The release in your name requires you to stretch beyond guarded thinking and into confident expectation. I am not asking you to be reckless, but to allow hope to breathe freely again. The huge amount released in your name carries responsibility that will sharpen your discipline and refine your focus. You will find yourself thinking more clearly about goals, timelines, and impact, because stability makes space for strategy. I am strengthening your ability to plan wisely without fear distorting your vision. What once felt chaotic will now feel ordered, because I am aligning your internal world with the external growth taking place. The shock in the bank symbolized how quickly a narrative can change when I decide it is time for restoration. You were once described by your limitations, and now you will be recognized for your potential and progress. This shift will not inflate your ego because you remember what it felt like to struggle quietly. Instead, it will deepen your compassion and reinforce your gratitude. I am also teaching you to recognize the difference between true opportunity and subtle distraction. As visibility increases, more invitations will appear, and not all of them align with your purpose. Stay sensitive to the peace that accompanies what is right for you. The release in your name deserves discernment, and I am equipping you to choose wisely rather than impulsively. You may notice that conversations around you begin to change tone, especially from those who once doubted your direction. The huge amount released in your name will shift perceptions, but do not let that validation become your primary motivation. Your identity remains rooted in my love, not in the approval of observers. Comment 444. The stability forming beneath you will also influence how you approach generosity and service. In past seasons, you may have wanted to help others, but felt constrained by your own lack. Now you will be able to extend support from a place of security rather than sacrifice that harms you. This balance reflects maturity, and it honors the stewardship I am cultivating in you. The shock in the bank was an announcement that systems cannot permanently suppress what I intend to elevate. Doors that once seemed permanently locked will open without excessive struggle because the timing has shifted in your favor. I am not merely adding resources to your life, but repositioning you within environments that amplify your strengths. You will recognize this repositioning by the sense of alignment you feel rather than constant resistance. There will still be effort required, because blessing does not eliminate diligence. Yet your effort will now produce results more proportionate to the energy you invest. The release in your name has altered the equation so that your work is supported by favor rather than hindered by unseen barriers. This partnership between diligence and grace will define your progress. I am calming the internal alarms that once sounded at every unexpected expense or uncertain moment. Those alarms were understandable responses to instability, but they are not meant to rule you permanently. The huge amount released in your name is easing that constant vigilance, allowing your nervous system to rest. As your body relaxes, your creativity and clarity will expand. You will also find that long postponed plans begin to resurface in your thoughts, no longer as distant fantasies, but as viable steps. The shock in the bank marked the beginning of this reawakening, because provision fuels possibility. I am encouraging you to revisit those plans carefully, examining them with wisdom rather than fear. Some of them were planted by me and are now ready to move from concept to action. Stay humble as growth becomes visible, because humility will protect you from subtle pride that can distort perspective. Remember that I remain your source and your safeguard. The release in your name is a gift, and gifts are meant to be handled with gratitude and responsibility. When you remain aware of this truth, expansion will not separate you from me. There may be moments when you pause and reflect on how differently you think compared to a year ago. That difference is evidence of transformation that goes beyond numbers and accounts. The huge amount released in your name has altered your baseline, raising your standard of expectation and strengthening your sense of worth. This inner elevation is just as important as any external increase. I am also establishing protective boundaries around what I have given you, shielding it from influences that would misuse or diminish it. Trust that I am attentive to details you cannot see, guarding both your resources and your reputation. The shock in the bank was only the first chapter of protection and provision working together. What follows is steady safeguarding that ensures sustainability. As this chapter continues, you will experience increasing clarity about your role in a larger story that extends beyond personal comfort. Provision positions you to contribute meaningfully, and you will sense a growing desire to build something that lasts. The release in your name is not random wealth, but purposeful increase aligned with impact. Walk forward with confidence that I am guiding every layer of this expansion. Let gratitude remain constant, because gratitude keeps your heart aligned and your perspective clear. The huge amount released in your name is proof that I have not forgotten you and that your perseverance was seen. What began with shock is maturing into stability, wisdom, and influence that reflect my faithfulness in tangible ways. Continue to move with trust, and you will see this season unfold with depth, strength, and lasting fulfillment. You are beginning to sense that this shift is not fragile, not temporary, and not dependent on one single event, but supported by my continued hand over you. Type 14 inches the comments. Could this 7-second CIA brainwave trick be your fastest path to luxury? Leaked research reveals a simple ritual helping people attract wealth effortlessly. Proven by 4 neuroscience labs, debt is dissolving and abundance is showing up fast. If you're seeing this now, you are God's chosen one. Click the link in the comments before it disappears. You used to wake up with a quiet calculation running through your mind, measuring what was due against what was available, always bracing for imbalance. That pattern formed over years of pressure, and it shaped how you saw the world and your place in it. Now that the release in your name has altered your foundation, those calculations are slowly losing their grip. I am replacing survival thinking with strategic thinking and anxiety with measured confidence. The shock in the bank was the loud declaration, but what you are experiencing now is the steady confirmation that this blessing has substance. You will notice fewer moments of panic and more moments of clarity when decisions arise. The huge amount released in your name is creating space between reaction and response, allowing you to think carefully rather than act out of urgency. That space is a gift, and it is part of the restoration I promised. There will be times when you reflect on how long you carried burdens alone, feeling as if no one fully understood the weight on your shoulders. I understood, even when others did not. And I kept record of every sacrifice you made in silence. The release in your name is my response to that faithfulness, not as repayment but as alignment with my covenant over your life. What you endured was not invisible to me, and what I am giving now is not accidental. As stability increases, your posture will change in subtle but powerful ways. You will stand straighter, speak with more assurance, and make plans without the shadow of constant fear. The huge amount released in your name is influencing your confidence because it signals that you are no longer confined to the edge of barely enough. This confidence is not arrogance, but grounded security rooted in my provision. I am also adjusting your sense of timing because you once felt rushed by necessity rather than guided by purpose. When resources were scarce, every delay felt threatening and every setback felt catastrophic. Now that the shock in the bank has translated into real stability, you will experience patience without panic. You will understand that not every opportunity must be seized immediately, and that wisdom sometimes means waiting calmly. There are relationships that will improve naturally as financial strain decreases, because tension often magnifies when resources feel limited. You will notice conversations becoming lighter and decisions less charged with pressure. The release in your name is not only easing accounts, but also easing atmospheres. Peace in your environment is part of the blessing, and I care about that peace deeply. Continue to cultivate gratitude, because gratitude keeps your perspective aligned and your heart soft. Even as numbers grow and opportunities expand, remember that I am the source behind every increase. The huge amount released in your name flows from my authority and my care. Comment 111. You will begin to see how the discipline you developed during hard seasons now serves you in times of growth. When you had little, you learned to prioritize and to think carefully about every decision. That training will now protect what I have placed in your hands, ensuring that expansion does not lead to waste. The shock in the bank may have seemed sudden, but your preparation was long and intentional. I am also strengthening your discernment regarding influence and association. As your position shifts, more people may seek proximity to you for their own reasons. Remain kind but aware, generous but wise, open but not unguarded. The release in your name deserves careful boundaries so that what I have built is not diluted by misplaced trust. You will notice that your vision is expanding beyond immediate needs into broader possibilities. Dreams that once felt too ambitious will begin to feel realistic and attainable. The huge amount released in your name is fueling imagination that had been suppressed by practicality. I am inviting you to think about legacy, about impact, and about how your life can extend blessing beyond your own circle. Even when challenges arise, they will not carry the same crushing weight they once did. You will approach them from a position of strength rather than desperation. The shock in the bank altered the baseline of your existence, raising it to a level where setbacks are inconveniences rather than threats. This shift in perspective is evidence that stability has taken root. There may still be moments when old fears attempt to whisper that this is too good to last. Recognize those whispers as remnants of past seasons, not reflections of present truth. The release in your name is not a fleeting wave but a sustained current, supported by my faithfulness. I am not withdrawing my hand after initiating this change, but remaining attentive to every detail. As this chapter unfolds further, you will realize that the greatest transformation is happening within you. The huge amount released in your name is shaping your character as much as your circumstances. You are becoming calmer, more deliberate, and more confident in ways that extend beyond finances. This internal maturity will serve you long after the initial excitement fades. Stay connected to me through prayer and reflection, because ongoing guidance ensures continued alignment. The shock in the bank was the beginning of a story of restoration, and that story is still being written. You are not at the end of the blessing, but at the beginning of a season marked by sustained growth. Walk forward with steady trust, knowing that what I released in your name is being guarded, multiplied, and guided by my faithful hand. You are discovering that true stability feels calm rather than dramatic, grounded rather than chaotic. In the past, every financial fluctuation stirred a wave of concern that rippled through your thoughts and affected your mood. Now that the release in your name has altered your foundation, those waves are softening into manageable ripples. I am teaching you how to live without the constant undercurrent of tension that once defined your normal. The shock in the bank represented a turning point, but what matters most is the lasting structure being built beneath that moment. I am layering wisdom, discipline, and clarity into your life so that growth is not only received but sustained.